got a new drive shaft, fuel line components, and some brake line components. And fingers crossed, all the exhaust components we need to make the exhaust to get out from the engine and underneath the cab, because that's the work we're trying to get done and finished up before we put the cab back on. Fingers crossed, at the end of this video, cab is sitting on this truck. So if you're new to the channel, we've taken 3 scrap Ford trucks and we're making 1 good dump truck out of it. Here's where we sit, a rolling chassis. There's a beautiful 460 sitting underneath there. And today we're gonna try to focus on getting all the stuff out from underneath the cab so we can get the cab put back on. I'd got some exhaust studs from Rock Auto, but they ended up being the wrong ones. I did what I should have done in the first place. I just sized the threads and went down to my local mom and pop shop and got some bolts for the exhaust studs. So let's make sure those fit first. I gotta drop this PTO bracket down so I can get the exhaust in here the way I need to. Still gonna hang by the shaft, but that's all right. Should give us enough clearance. Because this 460 doesn't take a gasket, I need all this to be super clean. I did have the actual manifold surfaced at a shop, but I didn't feel like taking the heads off, and I could have taken some sandpaper and a 2x4 block and done that as well. But just to clean off, there's a couple places where some paint got through and there's just some rust from it sitting for a little bit. Just a super soft brush on this Dremel, so it shouldn't cause any deformities. I mean, we're gonna know soon enough, but this is how I'm cleaning it. The Dremel did pretty good at getting all the masking tape gunk and some overspray paint off there, but I did end up spending quite a bit of time with a block of wood and some sandpaper, just kind of running those over. They look pretty decent now. So I want to go ahead and get my exhaust studs in. I had 4 of them that were just a little bit longer on the last set. We're going to put anti-seize on all these. They sell a heat shield that operates as a gasket that goes between, well, operates as a gasket and then runs as a heat shield for these spark plugs. The tech manual also shows some sort of heat shield for the plugs, but this truck didn't have any on it. I've looked at some videos online of other people building 460s. Some have it, some don't. Well, this is going to be your experiment of how needed it is. Now, daggone it, that stud doesn't have a smooth hex to drive. The tech book does say a layer of graphite grease. I couldn't find any graphite grease here locally, so I got on some forums and reached out to a buddy. He said anti-seize will do the trick. I said okay. That's bound to get some people fired up. Good. You know, perhaps I should just put enough studs in to get it started and then ran the studs through the manifold, because we may have a clearance issue for doing it this way. Oh yeah, that's just embarrassing. Embarrassing. Jeez, Mike, was this your first time? Yeah, it is. Isn't that nuts? Oh, yeah, I'm blown away by it every day myself. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? No kidding. Those mating surfaces. We're trying to get her closed up. The book says 28 to 33, working from the center out. I'm at 30. Dipstick goes on there. Just need to get a nut to put that on. Yeah, that should be right. Very nice. So those are both on, and we got to weld and build the exhaust to get out the rest of the way. But I don't have time for that this evening. We'll do it later in the video. What I do have time for, the drive shaft I had to put a new bearing on, which means this one needs to come out. Normally you just hit that bolt with an impact and it back out, but that clip's broke on both sides. So I got to get a wrench in there. There you go, on that nut. Do that on both sides. I'll be completely honest, it's a very short amount of time between when I start messing with a stuck bolt and when I just go straight to the torch. Just trying to melt the bolt out of there, but not the bracket, you know. There we go. Oh, hot. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So here's what we've got to do. These are the exhaust pieces that came off that 460 was on the F350. I had to cut quite a bit of it off to get it out just because of the way everything was stuck on the exhaust flange. You may find this hard to believe, but we had some issues with the exhaust flange studs and things like that, and we were getting everything off. So there was a lot of cutting. Now we've got to build our own exhaust down out of that the way it's supposed to be. Now the other little flange bracket like this was completely shot and gone. There's just a little bit holding on. I went down to the mom and pop shop and I picked these up. This is what we're going to use to replace it. So we've got to get that on each end of this. And this came off of here somehow. Mike, you ever built anything like this? Oh yeah. Yeah, all the time. Heck, you know, I was telling a buddy the other day, another one? Gosh, they're not even a challenge anymore. They're just boring at this point. Now we're just making it up like we do everything. It'll be fine. Bever flux core is going to be running off the propane generator. The grinder's running off the Blue Eddy, and so is the battery charger for the cordless. We got the wire wheel on the cordless to help clean the flux core, the flap wheel to help clean the metal, respirator, eye protection. Now we just need some hopes and some prayers, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to end up voicing most of this over because we're going to be running the respirator. First thing we're going to fix, I tried to get cut all the way through there, and I didn't do it. So we just got a random cut we got to plug first. All right, so we are off to the races. Nope, just kidding. Forgot to plug that in. All right, now we are off to the races. Just going to clean that off with the flap wheel real quick. Almost said wheel correctly there. Look at that. That is nice. High shine, looking slick. Clean it up just a little bit more. Run that flux core. People always ask why I don't have a MIG set up for gas yet. And I'd like to get one day, but I just don't have the stuff. Haven't taken the time to spend the money on it yet. And if you look in the background at the trees and the bushes, it's normally pretty windy where I'm at. So I don't know how well an actual shielding gas would do out in the open like that. And flux core is what I have, so that's what I run. Taking some really professional eyeball measurements here. Yep. Yeah, you know, this is going to be flawless. Wrapped it with some paper, sprayed some spray paint on it to get a good clean line, and then did the right thing and completely ignored the line I made and just went with what felt right. So that'll be, you know, that'll be something for sure. Some more eyeballing going on. Yeah. You know, it's going to be accurate when you use a 1/4 inch thick piece of soapstone to make the mark. So no way this is ever going to be off. Pretty excited to see how this turns out. Oh, very fancy squid lines there. This is, you know, watching yourself work when you edit is a very eye-opening experience. If you've never had the opportunity, I highly suggest it. It's, you think comments are tough. I promise you, you're your own toughest critic. I think somebody said that once. I am doing the right thing here, though. Look at this. A fit up to make sure the tacks actually line up. Pretty excited about that. Now, that's fancy. And believe it or not, it actually looks pretty decent. So went back to the welder. Got her welded solid all the way around. Pretty happy with it. Cleaned it up with a flap wheel. Made sure I had no thin spots. And you're not going to believe it, but I had a whole bunch. Yeah, whole bunch of thin spots. So ran 17 more passes around there at least. I'm pretty sure that section of the pipe is nothing but weld at this point. But that'll be fine. Go ahead and get this side bolted on. And that way when we go to mock up the other side, oh crap. This is just fun. We're having a great day so far. New exhaust studs I got from Parts Geek for 7.5 are completely wrong. They don't even thread into here, the manifold, and they also have a different type of thread. So I got one stud out on this side, on that side, and 3 studs still intact. And I ordered a kit that comes with all 4 exhaust flange studs, thinking I could use the 1 stud and then 3 of the fine threaded nuts, but these aren't. These are 7/16 by 14 thread, and I'm guessing what I need is 1/2 inch by 13, and I'm guessing that the fine thread is going to be 1/2 by 20. Yeah. Well, I'm going to chase them either way. So I'm still trying to figure out what my solution is going to be on that side. I'm having a little bit of a hard time finding exactly what I need. I could just find a long enough bolt and then cut it off, and then just one side be coarse thread. Could drill that hole the rest way and run a bolt through. There's some options. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do yet, but I do know I want to go ahead and get this on here so we can finish getting this exhaust mocked up and installed and the cab on. Now next, we got to take this piece and figure out where it's supposed to be rotation-wise. I think probably something like that, or maybe like that. Who knows? But we got to get it marked. Here we go, some good marking again. Sure, this is going to be fine. I will say I'm pretty happy with the process so far, but it's definitely something I've never done, so it's probably taking me 5 times longer than it should take me. But nonetheless, we're getting there. Getting her welded up there, that looks good. That's nice. Some good tacks. Think this guy's going to be smart enough to test fit it again? He is. Look at that. Test fitting again. Go ahead and get that side bolted up with just 1 nut. And get that flange held over there. Oh, very nice. Totally eyeballed this cut, by the way. There was no marking or measuring. We just eyeballed it. That's fine. Got a ratchet strap on there to hold the spacing right. Perfect. Block of wood. Yep. That's the tools of the trade right there, bud. A little fine adjustment with the sledgehammer. You might have seen that sneak in there real quick. A little grinding, and we're just going to tack her in place because it fits. There's no way I'm going to be able to mark that and get it back out and get it accurate. Not with this skill set, let's be honest about it. Get her tacked into place, and, well, you know how my welding is. A little bit of paint to hide everything. We should be good to go. I'll let that paint set up just a little bit. Not that it matters. That paint's going to rust and flake off here in just a couple miles. But it makes me feel a little bit better to try to get some around the welds that we just did. Hopefully that thing fits up as good as it did tack up. What an adventure. I've got these left over from the suspension components on that truck. Since those nut clips broke on this bracket, I'm just going to use these. I'll cut it in half there and cut it in half there, and then we can slide those in there and hopefully get that carrier bearing zipped up. And we'll run this strap here to kind of catch that drive shaft and hold the front end for us. And the socket on the impact. That's good. I like to get in a precarious situation and then assemble my tools. That makes the most sense. No, that's reversed. Oh, no. No, no. Okay. Good. No, it's fine. Okay, hold on a second. We're not going to snug her all the way down yet. Let's go ahead and get this end where it needs to be. I did pick up some new U-bolt straps as well. The other ones are pretty crusty, rusty. Well, that way, hopefully minimize the chance of the drive shaft falling off. So everything's seated nice. These are kind of snugged up. They look good. Let's see where we're at back here on the bearing. We were dead center. We got room on that little slot either way. Oh, that's good. I was worried it'd be crammed one way or the other, but she seems to be happy. I gotta try to get this fished right back over that hole in the back. It should probably be, yeah, like that. even with itself, right? That makes sense. Now, where I did make a mistake on measurements is right here. We are way too long on this shaft, or this shaft. All about perspective, I suppose. We got the measurement from the bearing to the transmission spot on. Pretty happy about that. I texted Clint, I needed to redo this U-joint anyway, so it just makes sense. We'll just take this shaft off. I'll take some pictures and some measurements, and we'll take that to the driveline shop, and we'll just have this shaft shortened up. The good news is it's a lot less expensive to have one shortened up than what it is to have one built longer. The reason that slip joint matters and that too long matters, if you look at the frame, the distance between, let's just say, the bottom of the frame and the diff, and then you follow the drive shaft, you got a triangle, the old A squared, B squared, C squared kind of thing that we learned back in school. Well, this goes up and down depending on the road and the load. So as that changes, one of the other distances has to change as well. This is locked in with the frame. This is the distance that's allowed to change. So right now we're way too long, and we don't even have any weight on the truck either. But if we tried to run it like that, which I could probably get it to go in there, and then we loaded this down and we hit a big old bump, we would either blow up, blow in, or blow out. Either way, it's nothing that we want and all expensive. Let's see if we can actually get this exhaust attached. I'm just gonna have to get a stud and put it in that one over there at some point in the future. It's not gonna be the most fun, but I will say out of the four, the one that we don't have in is the most accessible. So if we wanna call that the bright side. And I will say a huge bright side is we got the little bracket on the right side of the weld. Huh? I know, we've all been there. Decent start, maybe. Oh yeah, that one's starting and pulling. So I got that side tight how I want it. This is pulled up enough to definitely hold it in place where it needs to be. And like I said, this side actually gives me access. With a good extension, I can go straight off each side of that. Right like that, no problem. Suppose we probably ought to get this pump bracket and pump remounted before we get too celebratory to make sure it actually fits perfectly between the exhaust and the drive shaft. Cross-threading is nature's Loctite. Look at that, huh? Look at that clearance. That's perfect. Nicely done. Nicely done. I'm sure the floppiness there is fine. All right, here goes something. Sure. It'll be fine. You might tell me if I'm tall enough yet. Kind of guessing right now. That's okay, right? All right, let's see what that does for us. Nice and slow on the way down. Go forward just a little bit, looks like. I say forward. What I mean is back towards you guys. I need to come back to me like 2 or 3 inches yet, don't I? Oh yeah, I'm way. Really need to go this way quite a bit. Okay, it's not bad there. We're pretty close. Let's see if we can at least get one bolt slid in, and then maybe we can kind of scoot it around. The big washer is already underneath the foil. It was there from last time, and since all I see is a washer, I don't know exactly where I need to be. Let's see here. Take a little pressure off of the floor jack on this corner, and we can hopefully just spud bar that hole. That's real close. That's real close. That's real close. So we got one in on that side. So hopefully I can see the hole, but I don't think it's enough for me to get a bar in. Well, might be. Oh yeah, it is. Shift the whole cab where I need it. Drop the bolt. And then we'll take a gander at these here. And surely if those three are all lined up, this one should be good to go as well. Oh, my washer is just askew, covering the hole. Askew, he says. Same thing on this one. We'll just put a little up pressure on it where we can adjust that washer. Well, my jack will hold. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How about that, huh? Not bad. You guessed it, next video, we're right back on it. We're gonna try to get all these little odds and ends and everything put together, some interior work done. We're not gonna be able to drive it because of the drive shaft issue, but I'm hoping we can at least hear this thing run. It'll have a little bit of an exhaust leak, and that's okay. I just need that, you know? You know, you guys need it too. We've been in this together and it's been a hot minute. This rig's gonna get painted, all these connections are gonna get made. You know what's happening. It's gonna be something. I don't know what to do with this though. Yeah, we'll figure it out.